Good morning, YouTube. That car guy Eddie here, and I would like to thank you very much for tuning in today's video. Today's video is the 13th of November, 2011. I would like to welcome everyone to the channel. If you're new here, I am a car guy. I've gone through quite a few cars, and I know just a little bit. I don't claim to be an expert on anything, but it's just basically my opinion on how things are. For my subscribers, thank you very much for coming back. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, comment on the video. It definitely helps me want to make more videos because I like the interaction between everything. So first of all, I got to tell you guys that I haven't been making content mainly because the Jeep is not content friendly. What I mean by that is anywhere on this thing, whether I have my phone mount or I put it on the dash or I put it on this paper cup thing that I tried, the Jeep bounces and moves around so much that the audio is just horrible. And last thing I want to do is release content that has bad audio, because I mean, come on, honestly, we don't have striking visuals here, so a lot of you guys are probably just running this thing, listening to it in your car, and for that I do thank you. Today's video is actually, it was piqued in my interest because today Jeep recently announced that they're going to start putting the diesel, the 3.0 diesel, into the Jeep Wrangler. And it kind of got me thinking, because the diesel is an option in a lot of cars nowadays. And because it's an option, a lot of people, there's a lot of myths and misconceptions about it regarding the diesel being, you know, quote unquote better than anything else. And I wanted to give you guys my feedback on diesel versus gas motors, and is diesel right for you? Because it might be right in some applications, but in other applications it might be absolutely horrible. So first, let's start off by telling you that a little bit of news regarding the Wrangler. The Wrangler JL, it's the JL Unlimited, that's the four-door one. That's the only one right now getting the diesel. It's a 3-liter diesel, it is turbocharged, it's rated at about 440 foot-pounds of torque and about 260 horsepower. But the nice thing about diesels, and for those of you that don't know, is that diesels build power way low. So what that means is that they start building torque, maximum torque, sooner than gasoline cars, effectively. Now, why is that important? In the off-road world, you want to go slow. You do over rocks, you want to go slow. And the thing is with a diesel is that because you're building power so quickly, you don't have to rev the vehicle up. I have the 3.6 Pentastar in my Gladiator that I absolutely love. I think that this thing is a dream of an engine. I remember when it came out, I was actually really excited. In fact, at the time, I think I had an SRT4, and I was really big into Dodge, and I heard that they were making this Pentastar motor, and that it was going to have, you know, timing chain. It was going to be easy to change the oil on, and then they've just made revision after revision to make it better, 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 and better. So, and they put this vehicle in a lot of different cars. Don't get it wrong. I mean, this thing is like, I mean, it's in the Wrangler, it's in the truck, it's in the Odyssey, it's in the Caravan. Anything that they could fit this 3-liter or the 3.6-liter gas motor in, they do. And what's nice about that is the aftermarket support for this thing is going to be amazing down the road. What I mean by that is not necessarily aftermarket like performance products, but I'm talking aftermarket products such as, you know, hey, I need a new starter or I need a new alternator and I'm out of warranty. And one of the things that I tell people very frequently is that that's important, especially if you're buying a used car that doesn't have a warranty, or if you plan on keeping your car for a long length of time, is you really have to look at it and go, is this going to be a good option for me? So that's where the Pentastar really comes into play. But the video is not about the Pentastar. I could probably do a whole video about how much I like the Pentastar, give you the pros and the cons, but today is, should you buy a diesel vehicle if there's an option? Long story short, the answer is no. You probably shouldn't. And I can go on for a while regarding it, but a couple things that people don't understand about diesel right off the cuff is that you're traditionally paying an upcharge for a diesel motor. What that means is that if you get a diesel option, for instance, in the Wrangler, it's an additional $4,000 to get a diesel motor. And I just don't know if that's worth it. I know a lot of the times in the heavy-duty trucks, the update to get the diesel motor is like 10 grand, 12 grand sometimes. And that might be worth it in a heavy-duty platform. But in the Wrangler, you know, that makes a Rubicon $60,000. And I don't know if I want to be playing with a $60,000 toy off-road. Hell, I don't know if I want to be playing with my $40,000 toy off-road. And that's really what it comes down to is the price is starting to eclipse the benefit of what the diesel is. Let me tell you another couple things about diesel that you may not know. Do you know that most diesel vehicles run on 2 batteries? The majority of you guys watching this video may not even know how to properly jump your vehicle, let alone jump a vehicle with 2 batteries. But let's stay on that battery topic. So, diesel uses compression to ignite the fuel. Diesel fuel is not flammable. What I mean by that is if you have a cup of diesel fuel and you put a match in it, the diesel fuel is not going to light. The reason why is because diesel is oil-based and it reacts based upon heat and compression. So whenever you hear the term glow plugs, what the glow plug is doing is it's basically heating up the cylinder, and then when you crank the motor, you're compressing gas together to get the explosion. And then once it's running, though, it's self-running. As long as there's fuel being metered into it somehow, the motor will keep running. It doesn't rely on spark. It doesn't rely on a lot of things, which leads people to go, oh, well, it's more reliable. Well, yes and no. Most of the time, diesels have they have like iron blocks in them. And the reason the block is made out of iron is because they handle higher compression, because that's how a diesel motor runs, is with higher compression. The problem is that to get any legitimate power out of a diesel, you're going to have to build horsepower. And if you remember, I don't know how many of you guys were alive in the 80s, but VW made a bunch of really crappy diesels. They were non-turbo, gas-sipping, and yeah, they might have had like 200 foot-pounds of torque, but they had like 65 horsepower. You have to understand the difference between what horsepower does and what torque does. Torque gets you moving off the line, okay? It's what originally pulls you up hills. It's what you feel when you hit the gas. Horsepower is keeping the vehicle moving at speed, okay? Having the revs at a certain limit where you can maintain speed, and that's the difference between horsepower and torque. So, for all you motorcycle guys out there, if you've ever ridden a V-twin, you'll hear them talk about, oh, the torque, and my Harley's so fast off the line. Yeah, the problem is that you run out of that torque because the torque curve, even if it's steep at the bottom, it plateaus, and the higher you go up in the revs, you don't really feel any more torque because it's flat. The way that horsepower works is horsepower traditionally climbs with the engine revs. That's why as your gasoline motor revs up, you actually can feel the horsepower to the top of the band, which is kind of a cool thing. That's another video idea. Look at that. Anyways, so in addition to that, let me tell you about how expensive diesel parts are. Because diesels are more robust, I guess you can say, the starter is more expensive. Your batteries themselves are more expensive. Instead of paying, $100 for a single battery, you're going to pay $140 times 2 because you need a deeper cycle battery. And that's before you even talk about the fuel cost. So right now in California, gas ranges, and I'm going to give you guys a range because who knows what gas is going to be, but I mean it's anywhere from $2.99 a gallon to $3.99 a gallon for regular 87. Diesel is consistently 15 to 25 cents more expensive than that, and it's harder to find. So you're not going to be able to find diesel as much, and the reason why is because even though on a worldwide basis diesel is a more commonly used fuel, in the United States gasoline is a more commonly used fuel. So that way you're going to actually run out of places to get diesel. Not run out. You're just not going to have as many options, I guess you can say. And anytime you have less options of something, it drives the demand up, and price and demand, supply and demand, it drives the cost up. I know this very well. I bought a diesel back in 2005. I bought this really awesome Dodge 2500 Mega Cab diesel. Thing was a beast. Had the 5.3 in it. Great Cummins motor. In retrospect, I probably should have kept that thing. But it was a stick shift. Stupid, Eddie. Buy a truck and a stick shift. I'm just, not smart. But it was the one that I could afford, and it was the one that I wanted. So that's how I ended up with it. But gasoline or diesel, I believe, was like $2.30 a gallon. And then over the summer that I owned it, diesel was over $5 a gallon, which is insane. I couldn't drive the truck. The truck got like 14, 15 miles to the gallon. Thank God I had a motorcycle because I rode that thing every day to and from work. But man, diesel got expensive. Another thing not a lot of people know about diesels is that diesel's dirty. Diesel is oil-based. If you take a drop of diesel and you put it on the ground and you leave it there and you come back the next day, you're going to have a little oil ring. because it's oil-based. Gasoline, on the other hand, you drip a little bit of gas on the ground, you come back in 45 minutes, the gasoline is gone. And the reason why is because gasoline is ethanol-based, and ethanol is able to be, not ethanol-based, it's evaporative. That's the word I'm looking for. So because it's evaporative, it goes away. So when you go to fill your gas tank up, you pick up your nozzle that you actually have, and the nozzle's dry. It's dry. It's clean for the most part, but it's not bad. Diesel, every single time I've ever gotten diesel fuel, the nozzle is disgusting, covered in grease and diesel fluid and dirt, because oil attracts dirt. So it's one of those things where it's like, wow, why is all of that? That is disgusting. That is disgusting. So if you're a female and you don't want to get dirty, diesel fuel may not be something that you want to deal with. Let's talk about another thing. Let's talk about oil changes. So the big question here is, well, oil changes, are few and further between, because you only got to change the mile once every 10,000 miles. Well, gasoline motors are getting there too, and I want to tell you, it's not the oil that breaks down. Oil never goes away unless you're burning it or leaking it. Oil never goes away. It loses viscosity, it loses its ability to lubricate, but oil never goes away. The reason you have to change your oil, and the reason why it's time or miles, is because of the detergent that is in the oil. See, as oils get better, not necessarily synthetic or conventional, it's the detergent that is in it, the cleaning additional molecules that companies put in it to actually make it clean a little bit better. Those break down, and those are actually sensitive to air. So the moment that you crack an oil, like a quart of oil open, what it's going to do is it is going to start breaking down those molecules. So the time is ticking. Sometimes that's a year, sometimes it's 7 months, sometimes it's 10 months. It really all depends on the manufacturer. And most of the time they will recommend what it is. But the reason I tell you this is because people talk about oil changes and they go, well, I only got, 2,500 miles in this car, so I don't got to change the oil, and I don't drive it much, and, I'm not going to change the oil in it, and, because the oil's still good. No, the oil's not good. The oil itself is good, but the detergents itself are not. And detergents prevent sludge. I don't know if any of you as kids have ever gotten heavy whipping cream and whipped it into butter. That's basically what sludge is, okay? So sludge in your oil is from heat and coldness, 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 plus engine deposits make this like thick sludge, nasty stuff. And basically what it is it's butter. If you have heavy whipping cream and you put it in a pan or in a bottle and you shake, eventually you'll get butter. So that's the same thing that happens with oil. Well, on a diesel motor, a diesel traditionally takes double the oil that a normal car takes. So if you're paying, for a 5-quart oil change, and you might pay $40 for really good synthetic Mobil 1 oil, and then you pay, $10 for a really good filter, you're talking $50 for an oil change if you do it yourself. Maybe 80 to 90 if you do a full synthetic at like a dealership or like a Jiffy Lube or something like that. A diesel takes double the amount of oil, and it's not just any oil, it has to be diesel specific oil. So because of that, you're going to be paying more money on the oil changes. So let's back up. Parts are more expensive, oil changes are more expensive, gasoline is more expensive, diesel is more expensive, fuel. The out-of-pocket cost right off the bat is significantly more than a gasoline counterpart. It's a pain in the ass to find stuff. Like right now, look, gasoline $3.89 a gallon, diesel $4.19 a gallon. I literally just drove by a Mobil 1 that showed me that. So, it's more expensive. Now let's talk about working on it. Not everybody can work on it. People who are backyard mechanics, if you have like an Uncle Jerry or a cousin Tommy or somebody like that, he's got a lot of tattoos, he's been to jail a lot, probably rides a really crappy Harley Dyna from like the mid-90s. He might be the guy that you actually talk to about, hey, let's work on my car. The problem with diesels is diesels work differently. So it's not, they have things like injection pumps and things like that, and In fact, I had a diesel recently. I had an 80 Chevy diesel, and I didn't know what the hell I was looking at. I really didn't, and it was actually intimidating to me. Now, I'm not going to say I'm some awesome mechanic or anything like that, but I'm definitely not, like, car stupid when it comes to cars. So, but it intimidated me. I didn't know anything about it. I could have learned about it, but no, I'm good. Now, when is a diesel right for you? That's probably a better question. A diesel is right for you if you have a heavy-duty towing application. The reason why is because you're building torque down low and you're going to get good gas mileage while you do it. That makes more sense for a diesel, okay? I just feel like that is something that is much more feasible is for a diesel. Also, if a diesel's in a truck, right, like a big Peterbilt or a Mack truck or something like that, you know, they're being serviced consistently. A diesel motor may run 500,000 miles, may run 1,000,000 miles, but I'll tell you what's not going to run 1,000,000 miles, the turbo. And every diesel is going to have a turbo on it. Turbos are good for 100 to 150,000 miles, and then you start losing efficiency, you know, you start having turbo problems with it, and you just run into issues that are a big problem. So, that's my video. Like, subscribe, let me know what you think about diesels versus gas. I hope you have yourself a wonderful day, make good decisions, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Later.